In this edition of Southern Newsweek, anti-Three Waters groups hit Dunedin on their nationwide road trip. A new cycle route between Waihola and Wingatui could help with linking the region's cycling tracks. And a Christchurch Good Samaritan is randomly helping relieve the costs of living at the checkout. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. The Taxpayers Union stopped off in Dunedin recently as part of its tour around the country. Opponents are campaigning against the government's planned Three Waters reforms.
Attracting a crowd in the Octagon. Groundswell New Zealand dropped by Dunedin as part of its trip around the South Island. The group was in Dunedin to protest against the government's Three Waters policy.
We want to stop the removal of local control of water assets. We believe that the government's approach to Three Waters is undemocratic, and because the new entities will not be directly accountable to ratepayers, it's likely to increase net costs, not reduce costs.
The policy looks to centralise the control of water assets around New Zealand. Previously, local councils have been in charge, but government says the policy is needed to implement quality control on the resource. Some regions in New Zealand have undrinkable and unswimmable water sources. Dunedin representative and councillor Lee Vandervis was at the event showing his support for the group.
There's a distrust of Wellington, of centralisation. While people don't necessarily think that their councils are doing a great job in managing water assets, it's a case of the devil you know. Or more aptly, it's a case of the devil that you can vote out.
After their demonstration in the Octagon, the group headed off to raise support in Oamaru. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Groundswell New Zealand protesters drove their tractors to the Gore District Council on Wednesday to deliver 2 petitions to the local mayor. They're calling for the council to stop funding local government New Zealand and also asking it to hold a referendum regarding Three Waters.
They came to town with their tractors again. Groundswell NZ protesters were back in Gore with the organisation's co-founder Laurie Patterson presenting a petition to Mayor Tracy Hicks asking the Gore District Council to stop funding local government New Zealand, plus a second petition asking the council to hold a referendum regarding Three Waters. Co-founder Bryce McKenzie says he's pleased with the number of people supporting a call for change.
I think there was 400 to 500 on each petition, may have been more. I'd never actually counted them up, but yeah, there was a good number of signatures.
The Mayor promised a petition will be added to a council meeting agenda and the points raised will be considered in depth.
I guess a good functioning democracy means that people can say what they think. And they're letting us know what they think, and that's great, and we take that on board as we make decisions.
However, he says it's important to realise the district needs partnerships with the government to help pay for upcoming infrastructure bills.
We know that we need to spend a whole lot of money on our infrastructure. As a small community, we really struggle to do that, so we need to be able to partner with government. So just getting the right model to partner with government is really our focus.
Groundswell NZ was formed in West Otago in 2020 to oppose the government's policies on fresh water. In Gore, the South Today.
A feasibility study into a new Otago cycle trail is getting some Dunedin cyclists excited. The study is looking at a possible route between Waihola and Wingatui, which could help link the region's cycling tracks.
Taking the chance to bike off-road. These cyclists are making their way along Mosgiel Silver Stream, which could become part of a new cycle route. The $36,000 feasibility study is being conducted to explore an off-road cycle route between Waihola and Wingatui.
What we'd like to do is to be able to enable people to come out of Waihola off the Clutha Gold Trail or just whatever, ride to Waihola, off-road, all the way to connect to the Tunnels Trail that then will feed through to Dunedin City.
The route will require access through farm owners' land as well as meeting Otago Regional Council's stop bank standards.
The work over the next 6 months will actually be doing that feasibility study so that we know where we can go, what our options are, what our costs are.
The route could enable cyclists to bike from Queenstown through to Dunedin without having to cycle alongside cars.
So concept eventually will be that people will be able to leave Queenstown or Wanaka and eventually ride all the way to Dunedin without actually riding on road.
The Dunedin Tracks Network Trust has also secured funding for a trail feasibility study linking Dunedin, Waitati and Waikouaiti. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A wealthy Christchurch retiree is covertly helping people out with the rising costs of food. Many recipients don't know who he is, but get a nice surprise when they get to the checkout and find their grocery bills already been paid for.
A kind stranger who enjoys paying it forward. Dozens of people have had an unexpected helping hand from a kind stranger recently, finding their grocery or restaurant bill has already been paid. Last week, the mystery supermarket angel once again dipped into his wallet, paying for a woman's trolley load at the Lincoln New World. It's now known the mystery angel is retiree Dean Graham of Lincoln. He's the son of the late Mainland Freight Company founder, Neil Graham, and has been spreading good cheer every week for the past couple of years. He's often giving away a few $100s at a time, helping out strangers as he travels around New Zealand.
I like to help people, and I like to see and put a smile on people's face, and I like to pay it forward and to make a change on how people think.
He says the random acts of kindness can not only make people's day, it can also help change their lives. The recipients of his generosity come from all walks of life, and he chooses them with care.
Randomly, it may be a restaurant, it may be a supermarket. I'll see someone, and I'll see what they're about in life and where they're at, and then I'll slip the teller or the restaurant some money, and I'll pay for it, and I'll walk out and leave, which has worked really well. It's amazing how often I've gone into a place I've done that to and found that they've done the same thing. They've passed it on.
A well-known motorcyclist, Graham says if he can do something to help somebody in need, he will. In Christchurch, the South Today.
One Wanaka clothing shop is inviting locals to find a vintage bargain. The garments came from the Wanaka Theatre Group's collection, with customers getting a look back through the decades.
If you wait long enough, everything comes back into fashion. The Wanaka Showgrounds was recently filled with hundreds of people scanning through collections of vintage clothing. Garments and outfits used by Wanaka's performing artists over the past 40 years were on offer. The Wanaka Theatre Group started the sale as the tin sheds they were using to keep the costumes in had to move.
Get as many people to get as many clothes as possible so they don't end up in the bin.
Wanaka residents were keen to check out the clothes sale and walk away with outfits which had starred in local plays.
Really busy. People have been really good, really patient though. My helpers have been amazing, Robin and Joy and Ruby. Getting everything spread out and just keeping an eye on outside and doing all that stuff. People have been good, and it's nice seeing things go to new homes.
The theatre group proceeds will help fund future performance projects. Many unsold items were donated to other theatre groups or recycled. In Wanaka, the South Today.
Yakane, still to come on Southern Newsweek. A Dunedin businessman gets his wish as another method of COVID-19 testing is released. And a young Otago photographer is getting a podium finish on the world stage after an impressive shot of the Southern Steel. Tēnā koe, welcome back. A new fast and accurate way of testing for COVID-19 has been approved in New Zealand. Tailor-Made owner Sir Ian Taylor has been pushing for different types of tests to be released in the country, and he's overjoyed at the decision.
Dunedin business owner Sir Ian Taylor has been pushing the government to approve different types of rapid COVID-19 tests for the last few years. He's been advocating for tests which are as accurate as PCR tests, but give results in just half an hour. He received some good news on Thursday night.
I got a really interesting phone call last night from the CEO of Lucera, the company that makes this basically. And after 2 years, they've finally got it approved by the government, and they made this really generous offer. They've decided that the very first legal order from New Zealand they're going to give to me.
The Lucera test is one which Sir Ian's been promoting for the international business community. He says the CEO of Lucera is flying down to hand deliver the first legal order to him. And while he's proud of pushing for the change, he's not 100% happy.
Well, there's two things, I mean, it's great that it's happened. It's just 2 years late.
Sir Ian lobbied the National Party's COVID-19 spokesperson Chris Bishop and Dunedin List MP Michael Woodhouse about the tests. He says this quicker and more accurate option is ideal for international travellers, with no isolation needed while you wait for your results. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Christchurch residents have less than a month to have their say on the future of the proposed stadium after construction costs blew out to more than $680 million. 3 options are on the table, including stopping the project altogether.
It's a debate and a major project that's been going around in circles. Now rapidly ballooning construction costs for Canterbury's proposed multi-use arena Te Kaha have forced Christchurch City Councillors to go to the public to hear their views. $683 million is the latest figure presented to the council by the company tasked with managing the project to build a 30,000-seat covered arena. That's a whopping $150 million more than what was originally budgeted for in early 2021. City Councillor Jani Johansson is among those who believe ratepayers should carefully consider the issue.
The most important thing is that people have their say. There's a huge number of priorities in the city, from broken infrastructure in the east, fixing social housing, dealing with the cost of living that people are facing.
The 3 options up for consideration by the public are accepting the cost increases and investing up to $150 million more, allowing the project to continue as planned. 2, stopping the project immediately. Or 3, pausing and re-evaluating the comprehensive arena build, which could include scaling back the capacity or not including a roof. The government committed $220 million to the multi-use arena back in 2018. The council says pausing or re-evaluating the project would require renegotiating that cost-sharing agreement, adding further delays.
When the blueprint was announced, the funding wasn't agreed about who was paying for what and who was doing what.
Meanwhile, 2 of the stadium's main users, Canterbury Rugby and New Zealand Rugby, have reiterated they will not contribute financially to a new stadium for the city. CRFU Chief Executive Tony Smale confirmed their stance on the community facility had not changed, but says the organisation does support the project and wants to see it happen as soon as possible. The Christchurch City Council does plan to approach neighbouring councils for a contribution once it knows the final price tag for the project. Cantabrians have less than 4 weeks to make their views known, whether they're prepared to pay more for the arena. Submissions close on July the 5th. In Christchurch, The South Today.
Young Dunedin cameraman Joe Allison has won a prestigious Sports Photography Award in Qatar. Allison was invited to an impressive ceremony at Khalifa Stadium in Doha as one of 30 winners at the International Sports Press Association's Media Awards.
Allison was the only New Zealand finalist at the International Sports Press Association Awards, which is described as the Oscars of sports photography. Travelling to Doha with his father, sports commentator Paul Allison, Joe was named winner of the Young Reporters Photography category.
Joe Allison.
The 24-year-old captured his winning image titled Eyes on the Ball while working for photo agency Getty Images during a netball game last year between the Southern Steel and the Central Pulse at Stadium Southland. The award was presented in a glamorous open-air ceremony at Khalifa Stadium in Doha.
Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I'm extremely humbled to have gotten this award. It's awesome to be able to do something that you love, and to be able to be recognised on the world stage is an absolute honour.
Joe Allison was one of 3 finalists in the Young Reporter category, with winners also for writing and broadcasting. Along with the award, he'll receive a scholarship to a major international sports event.
There's a couple of people that I'd like to thank. One of them is in the crowd, my dad and mum, who'll be watching at home. Thank you for your unwavering support for all of these years.
The Dunedin-based photographer had 2 overseas jobs to continue with in Qatar, working snapping pictures at the FIFA World Cup qualifiers featuring Australia and New Zealand. From Dunedin, The South Today.
Dunedinites have been getting their first glimpse at the bright lights of this year's Midwinter Carnival. Event organisers have teamed up with the Meridian Mall to give people the chance to be part of the festival.
Snails lighting up Dunedin's biggest mall. These crafted lanterns are on display at the Meridian Mall as an early taster of the Midwinter Carnival. The shells, snails and stars are a warm-up for next month's festival.
So the carnival's a little bit different this year. Instead of just the one night, we're running 2 nights on the 8th and 9th of July. And it'll be like an installation. So there'll be a lot of giant lanterns installed around the church gardens at First Church.
This year's carnival will be a ticketed event with fewer people attending to help maintain safety around COVID-19.
And we're also having projection mapping up on the church as well, and there'll be a night market, and there'll be a mini procession of the kids and their little lanterns that they're making here.
And heaps of roving performance art and entertainment galore.
Alongside the festival itself, people can have a go at creating lanterns to be showcased on the night.
We'll be running workshops, so there's four weekends of that. We're making fish lanterns this weekend. We're making a magical lamp on next weekend. And then we're making boats and gulls. And so tickets are still available to book. You can book a session and come make a lantern and then be a part of the carnival.
This year's carnival will be held at First Church and in Lower Moray Place on the second weekend of July. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Whai Yakane, still to come after the break on Southern Newsweek. It's easy come, easy go at the Otago Nuggets basketball team as one import leaves and another arrives. And Ford fans flock to Canterbury to shine and show their impressive machines. The Otago Nuggets have lost one of their star players, Taj McCall. He's made a last-minute return to the United States with the hopes of playing in the NBA. His replacement is another US import who started off playing football in high school but was identified as a promising young basketball star.
A new import player for the Otago Nuggets basketball team. 23-year-old Trey Boyd III is the team's newest addition, arriving quickly halfway through the season to replace previous star import Taj McCall. McCall left the Nuggets after just 2 months, with their blessing returning to the US after being given a chance to try out for the NBA.
My agent, she brought it to me and was just like, would I consider coming to a place like this? I said, most definitely. And she said, I'll call you tomorrow and see what the details are. And then called me the next day. I was like, they interested. So 2 days after that, finalized, and I was on the plane.
New arrival Boyd says he's not much into analysing his game stats and numbers, instead playing more instinctively, but always as part of a team.
I'm just learning everything day by day, but I'm excited to play, just ready to showcase what I can do, but do it within the team.
He started off in Memphis as a high school football star before switching to basketball in college after finding the high air and hoops more entertaining. The 6'4" basketballer has already had a season playing overseas in Finland, where he got to shed his rookie wings.
It was very physical, but individual skill was also there too. But the team, it was definitely a great learning experience on just how to play with other guys who's similar to you and adjust on the fly. So it was definitely good for me.
A number of players have used the New Zealand National Basketball League as a stepping stone to the Australian one, and Boyd's open to that happening, even if he's not too sure about his geography.
I kind of like New Zealand, so I'm sure Australia is probably the same way, so definitely wouldn't mind doing that either.
Boyd's first game with the Nuggets could be as early as tonight against the Auckland Tuatara. In Dunedin, the South Today.
There was more than meets the eye when staff at the Clyde Dam took delivery of the first of 5 replacement transformers recently. The bright red transformers will progressively be installed in the coming weeks and are set to be transformed in colours to represent the rainbow-coloured pride flag.
Arriving after a 12-hour journey in prime condition. This new large red power transformer has arrived at Clyde Dam and is being installed over the next few weeks. Its marathon road trip from Timaru to the central Otago Dam was completed before the weekend's major wintry blast.
So today the new transformer for Clyde Unit 4 is arriving on site.
It's been a bit of an eventful day with the first snow dump on the Linders Pass overnight of the year, so a bit nervous this morning to see whether or not the road would be open and they'll get through safely, but they have made their way.
The journey to installation at the dam began around 18 months ago, but was marred by COVID-19 delays. An inspection in December 2020 found the condition of the 4 transformers at the dam was poor, and it was no longer safe to continue operating the transformer for the Unit 4 generator. The trip began in Timaru in the early hours last Friday and took half a day to make its way through to the dam.
They left at 4 o'clock this morning from Timaru and have arrived here now at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's been a long day for the transport company. But they're just about to offload it in the powerhouse and do the inspections and get it ready to put into service over the next few weeks.
It took a combination of 3 trucks to pull and push the transformer up and down hills, assisted by a number of pilot vehicles. The trickiest manoeuvre was negotiating the top of the dam and the winding tight bends to reach the dam's powerhouse. 4 new transformers and 1 spare will be installed over the coming weeks and will be repainted in rainbow colours to represent the Pride flag. At the Clyde Dam, the South Today.
The Dunedin office of Silver Fern Farms has had a big makeover, along with adding a new innovation kitchen. The company's made the changes to help improve work-based relations, allowing staff members to network better.
The head office of multinational meat processor Silver Fern Farms has had a mega makeover in Dunedin. The aim is to increase the productivity of the herd, and there's more than meets the eye.
It was around getting our people out from behind desks and out of traditional meeting rooms, connecting and collaborating more together, just engineering those real points of human connection.
The company is New Zealand's largest livestock processing and marketing company. People and Culture team member Julie Cooper says the Dunedin offices are Silver Fern Farms' biggest hub, with the innovative changes designed to connect the rural hinterland to the international meat market.
It was around how we can work innovatively and collaboratively here, but in a way that connects us out to the globe and to our other sites around New Zealand, but also internationally as well.
Among the extensive changes to the office space is an expansion of the collective's paddock to plate philosophy, with the addition of an innovation kitchen.
Partnerships are really important to us. We've got farming partners as well as customer partners, so partnering with chefs and experts in those fields, it does, it gives us a space where they can come in and showcase live in the building.
Silver Fern Farms is owned by a cooperative of 16,000 farmer shareholders and Chinese company Shanghai Mailing Aquarius. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Hundreds of Ford fans gathered for a special day at Leithfield in North Canterbury last weekend. Despite the looming wild weather, more than 200 cars showed up, all preened to look their finest for the judges and the hundreds of spectators.
They came from near and far. Ford V8 Coupes, Cortinas, Falcons, Zephyrs, Mustangs of all ages. Sunday's Waimak Classic Cars Day in North Canterbury was a love fest for all things Ford, featuring classics, hot rods, Model A's, Escorts, T-Birds and Capris.
Oh, I love Fords. I love all Fords. All my classics, all my early stuff, all my late stuff. I just love Fords.
Oh, I've been a Blue Oval man through and through for all my life. My dad had Falcon, and the reason I own a 66 coupe like this one is my uncle had one when I was 6 years old, and I said one day I'm going to own one, so there we go.
I've always liked Ford cars. I started off buying EV Falcon or Fairlane, and I've got a few now, so just like the smoothness of them and the way they look.
For many Ford fans and owners, their passion and love for the Blue Oval came from their fathers.
Well, my father had Fords, 46 and a 48 sedan, then he bought a brand new custom line in 1955, so I sort of followed in his footsteps.
As to which one is the best, everybody has a different opinion.
The Mustangs are nice, they won't break down.
A weekend celebration of true blue Ford fans and a chance to share their passion about their cars. In Leithfield, the South Today.
And that wraps up for this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.